Well, now that I've spent over 35 hours in Arcade Paradise VR, I thought I would give a little bit of my thoughts. Um, Absolutely love this game. Look, I even got myself a makeshift DeLorean. I'm 45 years old at the time of making this. And so I grew up in the 80s and 90s going to arcades and hanging out. And so this game is really a dream for me. It might not be for everybody. It starts off with a laundromat that you have to convert into an arcade. And this is my final arcade after I've completed just about everything. And you'll see there's people playing and all these different games. And you can play all of them. Since I've beaten the game, they've actually added a little bit of DLC. It's free. There's a couple games like Cyber Drones that you can play. I kind of got emotional playing the game. You can even buy records to add to the jukebox. And all the music basically mimics songs from the early 90s. And they do a really good job of it. When I first started playing the game, a lot of times the machines would break down. And there's a lot of things you have to do, like collecting the money. So as the game progresses here, let me take you into my office. Over here is kind of the main computer, set up like an old 90s computer. You can shop for upgrades that make your life a lot easier, and of course I've purchased everything. You can purchase records. You can even play solitaire, just like the old-fashioned days. Minesweeper. I mean, it really feels like I'm sitting here at a computer back in the 90s. It's got a great story, and there's a lot more to do than just play the arcade games. If you want to time travel back in time, this game, I would give it a 9 out of 10 for someone like me. The only thing keeping it from getting a 10 is that it doesn't have a co-op and I can't hang out here with my friends. There are so many games to play. There's even games within the games within the games. Back in the early 90s, I became obsessed with virtual reality when I first tried virtuality, which looked just like this, and the fact that I can go in VR and then play VR within VR. I mean, come on. How is this not absolutely amazing? Only in Arcade Paradise can they make a game out of cleaning the toilets. Sure, not every game is amazing, and some of them are knockoffs of classics like Frogger, for example. That's not a bad thing, though, and you can compete with your friends on the leaderboards. But there are about 20 games that I come back to all the time just to keep trying to play and outdo myself. This game is excellent. It's basically a Grand Theft Auto style game of Pac-Man. And you're collecting the money instead of the dots, and if you get caught, you end up chasing, running from the police, trying to make it back to your vehicle. Let me see if I can. And some of these games you control with the regular controller, so they feel very tight, like you're playing an old arcade game, which is great. Oh, got my car back. And some of the games are a little more VR AF, if you know what I mean, where you actually are doing hand motions and, you know, games like air hockey. Zombat 2 is definitely one of the games that you can come back and play repeatedly, because it's not easy. And it's basically a twin-stick shooter. And you can unlock weapons, shop at the store. If you're really old like I am, you can even play some Pong. But it also has 90s style beat-em-ups. I mean, come on, the game even has Wood Guy Golf. An entire golf game with 3 courses to choose from. And it's really good. It feels like one of those old retro games that you'd play on like Neo Geo or Nintendo back in the day. I really like UFO Assault, as simple as it is, but I'm going to walk over here. Check out Roger. It's a really difficult game where you basically can only turn in circles, and you're trying to dodge the things that are coming at you. I cannot get very far, but it's definitely addictive. I still come inside my arcade every once in a while. I throw on a podcast or some 80s and 90s music and spend a little time especially if I'm waiting for one of my friends to come online and meet me to play some golf. I really hope they continue with the DLC or consider making a sequel that takes place a few years later. Oh wow, look, it's getting dark out. So there is a day-night cycle, and you can actually go to the bus stop to go home. But since I bought this car, I now have the ability to cruise on out and come back tomorrow. You have full control over your arcade, where you lay out most of your games. There's also a to-do list every day. And if you do those things, it gives you a different kind of money that you use to buy records and upgrades. Oh man, look at this mess these people made. I mean, that's pretty much it. If you love retro games, you love arcades, you want to know what it was like back in the day, or you grew up like I did and you want to revisit what it was like, you really can't go wrong. And the price is so fair. It's beyond good. Whether it's on sale or not, it's worth the money. If you want to beat the game, no pun intended, you're going to spend like 20, 30 hours to get through it all. So it's not a game that's short either. So you're definitely getting some value out of it. So come on down to the arcade paradise where you can play Communists from Mars.